5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome everyone to Truth Beer and Podsequences.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Julia. Yay indeed. So this is a podcast where my co-host and I listen to, talk, and discuss about all of the Cincinnati-based craft beer media from the previous week. We get together at a podcast host, and today we are back at Higher Gravity Summit Park. Thank you, Higher Gravity, for being a gracious podcast host. Now, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other podcasts and media. And so far in 2024, we are doing A-OK.
This is a banner year for us.
Banner year.
Although now that I said that out loud.
Well, it's a banner year in many different ways.
It's true. It's true.
And if all the consequences come in the last quarter of the year, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally okay. My name is Marco. I'm a taproom manager here locally. I brewed beer for several years in the Cincinnati area. You may have had my stuff, and some of you liked it, some of you didn't. You didn't like it, well, that's too bad. You don't know what good beer is. Or maybe you do. Who knows?
Who knows? It's fine.
But that being said, the other voice you heard, I did call her name, but I did not call her what she actually is. And what she actually is, the best co-host in Podcast Landia.
I am Julia. I drink all the beer in the greater Cincinnati area. And if you have not pre-ordered your Higher Gravity beer vent box yet, what is your problem?
We are in spooky season.
What
are you doing?
We are like midway through spooky season. And you know what comes immediately after spooky season? Beer vent season. Yes, there's a tiny lull in between the two, but that just gives you time to pick up your beer vent boxes, which should be available near like that last week in November. Once you sign up, keep an eye on your email for when Jason says the beer vent boxes are here. Come pick them up.
Yeah.
And just be prepared for an entire month of absolutely phenomenal beer and fun. I'm promising fun with the box.
Okay.
I don't speak for Higher Gravity. They can say it's fun or not, but I'm going to say it's fun.
Actually, speaking of that,
time.
Julia, the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with, such as full-time jobs, part-time jobs, or Higher Gravity, except for your promise about the beer vent box.
Whenever I talk about the beer vent box, I do speak for Higher Gravity because, I don't know, I'll claim it.
Yeah.
I'll claim those statements. I don't claim the box. That is all HG, but I will claim, my statements on how great it is to be part of the HG canon.
Also,
so
everyone be ready because Julia is going to have her pencil sharpened and ready for the parodies of the different beers every day for the beer vent box.
I will say, before we get into the media that we're going to be talking about today, we only have, I'll say 4.5 pieces of media.
Yeah.
I do want to give a huge shout out to the 3 Cincinnati breweries that brought home medals from the Great American Beer Festival this weekend.
Yay.
I was able to watch the award ceremony live, or as live as those streams can be, and I'm like, where's Cincinnati? Where's Cincinnati? And congratulations to Wandering Monsters, to Streetside, and to Brink.
Yay!
Well-deserved medals all around. I think there were only a total of 7 Ohio breweries.
I believe you're right.
That brought home medals,
yeah.
And Cincinnati has 3 of those. Huge congratulations, huge props to them. So if you are out at Wandering Monsters, get their, I'm not going to get the name right because I forgot to write it down, their chocolate something obscura. I'm sure they're going to have, I'm sure they're going to have a big medal next to it on their tap board,
right,
as they should. If you're at Streetside, get Black Cats, their English brown ale. And if you're at Streetside, and if you're at Brink, you know what beer is one of Cincinnati's most awardingest beers ever. Grab yourself a pint of Moozy.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
True.
Congratulations to everybody. All right, speaking of media, I said we have 4.5 pieces of media, and it is Kolsch night. So, Mark is giving me the finger. Not that finger, like index, hold on.
Yeah, hold on. I just want to say that, we're not like those fake-ass podcasts out there. We do have beers. And so before we get into what we listened to and watched last week, Julia, what you drinking?
I'm going for the same thing that I had last week, Phantasm from Esoteric, their Baltic Porter, because it is phenomenal. I love this beer so much, and I really, really hope to see it in cans one day.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be awesome.
That would be great.
I'd buy a 12-pack of it. Anique. Esoteric. Shout out.
Esoteric.
And how about you, sir? I'm sorry, I went to take a drink of this and I just completely glossed over.
No, that's okay.
I got excited. I got
am
into
having Best Day Kolsch, the non-alcoholic.
All right, so
You're going
all Kolsch. Yeah, hey, nothing wrong with that.
That's how I'm rolling for a little
Nothing wrong with that.
So.
And you know what? If you ever want me to join you in that on a Tuesday, just let me know. There's some really, really good NAs out there.
It's been a couple years since we did a whole NA show.
Maybe we should do that again, yeah.
We might do that, I don't know, during the holiday season or something like that, since it may be good timing for a lot of people. I think that might be where, I mean, a lot of people gather and, maybe people are wondering what are some good options for, gatherings and stuff. So we might do that, but yeah.
I'm down, 100% down.
Okay.
All right. The media that we're going to talk about, kind of the unofficial, the half show that we're going to be talking about is going to be the Women in Beer panel that I had the honor of hosting this past Monday night at Woodburn Brewing.
Yep.
I say just half talk about because I am not good about talking about myself doing things at all, so I'll probably let Marco drive most of that. The episode is available on our podcatcher, anywhere that you can get Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. It's there. And the audio only and the video versions are on our YouTube page, youtube.com/@truthbeerpod. Please give it a watch or a listen. It is just some incredibly, incredibly strong and important voices that definitely need to be heard. And, I mean, again, hopefully that as Cincy Beer Week continues year after year, I can kind of make this happen again year after year with a different set of panelists each year. We're already talking. Let's just go ahead and finish talking about this, and then we'll bring up the other podcasts that we're going to talk about. The table is wobbly. I apologize for any excess noise.
The table is wobbly. It was really fun. It started... I wanted to find a way to have an event to be during Cincy Beer Week and to highlight something that I thought was truly important to talk about in the industry. And thankfully, Julia agreed to be a host. And thankfully, I mean, Julia really drove, other than me having the concept and providing a space, Julia really drove with partnership in, with the Gnarly Gnome and with Brittany Frey, finding a fantastic panel of women. All questions were questions that Julia had conceived and maybe consulted some of her great panel about. The panel was really fun and some really cool insight. Just to highlight a couple of the questions, like is beer a STEM career? Who were your inspirations or supported you in your beer journey, or how did you get into beer? And
if you were a beer, what beer would you be? Or
what
beer style? What would you be?
What beer style would you be?
Awesome.
Yeah. So whatever form you like to take in content, whether it be audio or video, it's out there. I will say that having that many people in a panel that's so close together does sometimes cause a little bit of an audio challenge, but nothing is to the point where you can't listen to it or consume it. You can just you can get through it, believe me. I mean, and I wholeheartedly endorse going and watching or listening, and I found it a whole lot of fun and very informative. And I agree with Julia. I'd love to be able to do this as a little bit of a kickoff for Cincy Beer Week. I know Cincy Beer Week this past year started on a Friday, I think it was, and then this was on that following Monday. But it really was the Monday that led into the majority, the meat and potatoes of Cincy Beer Weeks. Yeah. There was also a beer that was released in conjunction with the Cincy Beer Week Women in Beer panel, which was named by Julia
Metsema,
and that is getting great reviews. So thank you to the brew team, and also thank you to Julia for a great name, and thank you for the public for really getting behind and supporting that beer.
And once that keg kicks, I want that keg color.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few more kegs around town at the different March 1st brand locations. I happen to look and see that at the other locations it's getting good reviews as well.
Awesome.
And that's because it's a good beer. So
It is. It's fantastic.
So get out there, try the beer, and go and listen or watch the Women in Beer panel.
I will say my biggest takeaway from the panel, something that I was pretty sure I would see and hear from all the women involved, but I wasn't positive just because I've never spoken to a lot of them that in depth before. The women that we have in Cincinnati that are in craft beer, be it as a brewer, an owner, quality assurance, technician, even just the bartenders, there is so much confidence amongst that group of women that they will take on any challenge that is thrown their way.
Yeah.
And they will absolutely crush it. So if you have any concerns or thoughts of, well, can women take over craft beer? Can women get to be that 50-50 level of equity, if not more, in Cincinnati craft beer and all of the careers involved? Abso-fucking-lutely. And just wait, we will take over the world.
Also, I think, and they're never going to hear this, but that silly, ridiculous brand that we were talking about last week,
goodness.
What was that called?
Girl beer.
Girl beer. I think anybody... Now, let me preface this by saying that I know the company was founded by women.
Yes.
I think it would be good if those women listened to these women and maybe take a pause and decide if they really want to continue with that sort of marketing aspect of their business.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
that's what I got there.
All right, let's move in from there to I don't say the actual content, because that is actual content, but to the other content that we listened to and watched last week, and what we're going to be talking about. We have a new episode of the Miami Valley Craft Beer Podcast with Rhingeist.
Yeah, amazing.
Awesome. We have a new episode of Barstool Perspective.
Sort of.
Yeah, that's, yes.
It is.
Yes.
It does exist.
Yes. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And then we have Cincy Brewcast that we were both present at, so I'm pretty sure we both have at least some memories of the
I do.
of the night. Awesome.
Pretty
clear.
Pretty clear memories.
Good?
Yeah.
All right. And then we have the weekly pint.
TWP.
Yeah, you know me.
That's right.
And Gnome and you and
Yeah.
everyone else that chimes in, because it is a community event.
That's right.
It should be anyway.
Community happy hour.
Yes. Do you want to start from oldest to newest?
Yes.
All right, let's run through these. And again, apologies if this is a little bit rushed, but I mean, we have a lot of Kolsch to drink, and we have, a 30-ish minute drive to get to the downtown area.
Kolschness.
Uh-huh.
To Kolschdom.
So I'm going to be working on my beautiful Baltic Porter, and we're going to dive right into the Miami Valley Craft Beer Podcast, episode 31, Rhingeist Brewing. Blake sat down with Chris Shields, which Chris actually sat down with Blake's other podcast, the Brewery Explorers podcast. That was season 1, episode 6. That feels like a lifetime ago.
It does.
That was one of their, again, episode 6, that was one of the Brewery Explorers' first podcasts, and absolutely an amazing guest to have on. And I'm really glad that Blake got to sit down with Chris one-on-one to talk more directly to him about everything Rhingeist and about his role as the education director for Rhingeist. Chris started with, what does the role of leading the education program mean? What is education in a brewery environment? And I absolutely loved his answer. Education doesn't have to be formal. It could be as simple as a brewer telling the front of house staff about the beer.
Yeah. Well, at its very simplest.
Sure. Education doesn't have to be something crazy in-depth. It doesn't have to involve notebooks and tests and, lab work and... Mansplaining and just feeling kind of like a drag for some people. Some people just aren't into education. And I absolutely love that. Education does not have to be complex. It can be just as simple as, hey, here's our new IPA. You should be getting notes of grapefruit and mango and maybe a little bit of pine wafting in through some of those citrusy notes.
I even touched on, to that degree, other places, with their education.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely,
like
absolutely.
And for a lot of places, it can be as simple as what you were saying about the brewer.
Right, and it could go all the way down into, there are some places, and Chloe from Miller Coors, great example, the sensory testing that a lot of breweries, I believe Rhingeist, Mad Tree, that they all do. That is that more in-depth education to where they are looking for, hey, there are off flavors out there. There are things that are in the beer that shouldn't be in the beer, taste-wise, scent-wise. Let's see if we can try to help people learn to recognize them so we can make sure the quality of our beer is exactly where we need it to be. That is a more dialed-in, focused education, more so than just, hey, this is what you should be tasting when, one of our guests orders the new beer that we're putting out. He also talked a bit about the stress levels of being a judge at the Great American Beer Festival, because Chris is a Cicerone. I forget what level he said. Master Cicerone?
I don't
believe he's up there.
He
is up there, but
I don't recall which
top,
level.
But he knows.
Master level is the top, and then there's advanced, and then
I think it's advanced. I don't know. Chris, my apologies. Please reach out to us and correct us, or anyone else who listens and takes better notes than I do. Correct me.
Yeah.
But it's not all about just going and getting to just drink beer and go, oh, I really like this. You have to understand the styles that you're drinking, that you're judging, and you don't always get to judge your favorite styles, which Chris explained why sometimes that is a very, very good thing.
Yeah.
Which kind of led Chris to go on a 10-minute diatribe and a rant about how he absolutely hates Hefeweizens.
Well, this is on top of or next to when he was talking about the Cicerone certification. He's going to judge at GABF. Yeah. And that's what he was talking about, is that you don't judge categories if you sent beers in those categories.
Correct. Yes, correct.
Things like Cicerone certification, depending on the level that you're trying to certify it, you have to take apart a draft system.
Right.
You have to take it apart, be able to put it together. You have to be able to say, the name of the components of the pieces, and be able to talk to, what the pieces do and all that. It's really interesting. But yeah, he was talking about, he even relishes the idea of judging styles that he's not really all that a fan of.
Right.
Because that he feels that he can be very unbiased into, what he doesn't have to like it or not, as long as he can taste what is supposed to be there, or taste that something is not supposed to be there.
Right, exactly.
So that's really interesting too.
He has those style guidelines. You should taste this, and this. It should look like this. Like, it is a very...
It's structured. It's structured.
Yeah, structured, cut and dry, exactly. Truth is still their number one seller, but Cincy Light is catching up pretty quickly. It's not in as many markets as Truth is right now, but once that distribution footprint is more equal, they may be running neck and neck, and Cincy Light might even pull ahead of Truth for either brief periods of time, depending on the season. If it's football season, it may get ahead of Truth a bit, and then maybe in the winter, Truth pulls back in, depending on the seasonality of what people are wanting to drink. But that would be really cool to watch. Yeah,
and I think that's an interesting part of how popular that beer has become, is that, without being in 100% of the markets that Truth is in, how fast the rapid rise is of that Cincy Light.
Agreed. Let's see. They talked about expansions and other potential tap rooms. They have been looking, but they are very aware of the fact that it has to feel right, it has to fit right. They are in no rush whatsoever, but don't discount the possibility of, and I say in the future, this could be 5 years, 10 years, or 6 months out. Rhingeist is aware that is definitely something that could help them, and that things sometimes do well in a tap room that don't do well in distribution. So having other satellite tap rooms might help bring awareness of some of these draft-only beers to other parts of the city or even beyond. But it's not something that they feel they need to put a heavy focus on at this point.
I would have liked to, and of course this wasn't going to happen because, it was clear that he wasn't going to go down certain roads and, like where Blake was talking about, what worked in the tap room but didn't really work out in distribution. And, they sort of kept it real light. They didn't go too deep into some of the not so successful spaces. He touched on it a little bit when they talked about bringing Bubbles back in the previous form. RG Bevs didn't work.
No, not for, and he said not for us.
Yeah, it didn't work, and they put an enormous amount of money into RG Bevs.
But at the time that RG Bevs came out, I mean, that was a huge opening market. Now, did it stick around? Is it something that, again, Rhingeist should have gotten into? Those are entirely different discussions for an entirely different day.
It could have.
So I don't know.
It certainly could have sold well, but not well enough to keep going. I would have liked to heard a little more discussion around that because of how big a marketing push it was.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay.
Yeah.
For another time.
A couple other notes on this episode. Being involved with Bachfest and Oktoberfest, and how much fun that was and how enjoyable it was to have the community kind of spread apart a little bit between different venues. He is excited about Mellowtone moving into the old Half Sale House because Blake asked, are you worried about other breweries popping up and then pulling away from you, or other breweries that are coming in closer to your space, like within your same neighborhood? And Chris is just like, absolutely not.
Rising ships raise all tides.
100%. 100%. And if you say that quote any differently, you're wrong. That's all I'm going to say. They've
had beers.
They've had beers, yes. Moving from Oktoberfest beers into barrel-aged beers, and kind of that transition, and do they see them as seasons or as rotating? And they talked a bit about Inked. Inked is coming back very, very soon. There are some new variants coming, so listen to this episode to find out what they are. We don't tell you everything. We just give you enough information to make you interested and want to listen to this show. And then last note that I had on this episode, he asked, how do you keep an 11-year-old brewery feeling fresh and fun for everybody? And it's just about understanding what is coming up in all the different consumer bases that are coming in on a daily and weekly and monthly basis. What are they looking for? Are they looking for more TVs, more live, sporting, I say live sporting events, but live watch parties, more cornhole, less cornhole. It's figuring out what people want, and in each season, spring, summer, winter, fall, Bachfest season, Oktoberfest season, and trying to ensure that their tap room can always provide that for them.
Yes.
Yes. Did you have any other notes on episode 31 of the Miami Valley Craft Beer Podcast, which I will say, Blake is moving out of that Miami Valley area quite frequently.
Yeah.
He wanted to focus a lot on like the Troy and Dayton area breweries, but man, I absolutely love getting more information about our local Cincinnati breweries.
Too much exciting stuff happening this way to not involve the exciting stuff.
So Blake, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. And you know what? Because we kind of have a shorter amount of time, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to make a phone call real quick.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. We need to call someone who is not here.
Your mom?
Okay, we need to call someone else who is not here. You better pick up.
Hello?
Hey, you are on Truth, Beer, and Podsequences.
Who?
Truth,
Who is this?
Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. You hang out with us most.
Oh.
Hey.
Okay, yeah.
I have a question for you. And I'm going to hope you can hear this. Are you ready for chaos?
I'm always ready for chaos. If I'm supposed to hear the music, it's not playing.
God dang it! I will figure this out eventually.
You can't plug the two things into the same.
No, I'm doing both over my phone over the Bluetooth, so it's not things plugged into other things.
Can't do two things on Bluetooth. No,
well, dag nabbit. Well,
everyone else, the imposter.
It's fine.
Well, everyone else heard it. Everyone else heard it. That's all that matters. Yes, huge shout out to Don Rock the Imposter for that absolutely fan-freaking-tastic rendition of Monday Night Football.
It's a banger.
It really is. It absolutely is.
One of these days, I'm going to show up. I'm going to play the recorder.
I know. You keep threatening us.
I will.
All right, let's make this quick because we still have 3 shows to talk about real fast, and we have to get down to Kolsch night. So,
That's right,
Gnome, I'm throwing this to you first so I can hang up on your ass. What is your pick for week 7?
Can I pick vintage gin?
No, that is not a football team. Unless you have a really, really, really good reason.
So.
Oh, goodness.
Is that a good reason?
That's a decent reason. Is that going to be your final answer? Is
no,
gin? Okay.
No, but
okay.
I want everybody to know that I'm drinking vintage gin. It's delicious.
Good. Well, I'm glad.
Oh, is that not what we're supposed to be talking about right now?
We are picking our picks for this week, for week 7 of the NFL Football Deathmatch Challenge.
Okay.
Yes. Who would you like to pick this week?
Okay. You're trying to keep this very professional, and I appreciate
Well,
that.
not even professional, but just quick, because we need to get out of here.
let me check my notes.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Marco.
Check my notes.
Marco, who you picking? While Gnome checks his notes.
I'm checking my notes.
I am going to pick the...
He's checking his notes, too. This is bullshit.
Okay, well, I'm going with the Vikings again. Vikings versus Lions.
Ooh.
I'm going Vikings. Vikings, Lions. That's going to be a dangerous pick. It is a dangerous pick.
That's a dangerous pick. Vikings giving 2.5 to the Lions, who just beat the shit out of
the Cowboys,
right, I got mine.
Okay, who's yours?
Oh, wait, hang on.
Okay.
I gotta double check.
Marco.
They're giving... Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, Marco, you go ahead.
All right, I am going to take... I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts, who are playing the Miami Dolphins, and I'm trying to spin this to where I think the Miami Dolphins quarterbacks are butt.
Gnome, how about you?
You have a pick yet? Careful deliberation.
Yes.
Careful, long deliberation. I think I'm going to go Who Dey.
Who Dey?
The Bengals.
All right.
I can't pick anything else but the Bengals.
Bengals are...
that's fair. All right. Well, you get back to your gin. We're going to get back to our show, and we will see you in a little bit at Kolsch night.
All right. Kolsch night.
Kolsch night.
Who Dey.
Who Dey. To wrap up our picks for the Truth Beer Pod NFL Deathmatch Inconsequential Pick Challenge.
I think next week we recap points. Thank you, Don Rock.
Thank you, Don Rock. You rock. All right, let's go ahead and fly through these and see if we can get done in under 30 minutes.
Let's go.
All right. Barstool Perspective from October the 11th, 2024. Mike was flying solo.
This is only an 8.5-minute episode. So
12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Yeah. It felt like 8.5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's
can get it
keep
done.
this to like 4 minutes.
Or less.
Yeah.
Apparently, Brett was eaten by a dingo, and Lindsay's child had a face hugger event.
Yeah,
so,
a xenomorph.
Yeah.
Xenomorph.
So he had absolutely no co-host, but I will say it was still an absolutely phenomenal show. That intro was probably one of my favorite intros that they have ever done for Barstool Perspective. So I'm not here. This is where Brett is. This is where Lindsay is. And this is what we're going to be doing. I absolutely loved it. Mike, you killed it. You absolutely killed it. You did a phenomenal job.
He turns on his pontification voice when he's by himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. There was only one piece of news the entire show, and that is everything sucks.
I thought the bigger piece of news was me counting how many times he would sway back and forth as he was reading his laptop.
That should have been my count for this episode, but it was not.
I was like, somebody keep this man upright.
He was, well, because normally he's used to being able to like sit back and really think about and reflect on what Brett or Lindsay are saying.
Like,
but with this, it's all him, and he was just like, lean back and have to lean back in to see what's going on. Let's see. Basically, wine and spirit sales are down 8% and 3.9%.
Basically, old people are keeping wine sales afloat.
So once they die, wine is gone.
Yeah, they are, as they call it in the legal biz, fucked.
Yep, absolutely. More Tilray talk. Mike covered, in case you haven't been watching the last 37 episodes, who they are, what they're doing. Basically, Canadian Wheat Company buying a whole bunch of craft breweries. The thought is they are planning to work on distribution of weed-based beverages once everything is fully legalized and yada, yada, yada.
And they shrunk the amount of weed that they're doing.
Yeah,
as a portfolio, which sounds really weird.
Right.
Increase the amount of beer, even though they even sold off some of the beer brands that they bought.
Yep.
I don't 100% buy that they have this
grand plan or scheme.
I don't. I believe they have the plan. I don't know if it's gonna
work.
Pay
So
at all.
the several weeks old Brett and Mike financial advice of buy Tilray stock. Are you in or are you out?
I am till out.
Till out. All right.
Yeah.
That's a very safe way to do things.
Yeah.
You can't lose money that you don't put into the stock market.
Yeah.
Well, you can lose it other ways. That's, whatever. Don't follow us for financial advice either.
No.
We obviously have no idea what we're doing. Then the last thing you talked about.
We have a podcast. It's just all it does is cost money.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Scotch. Single cask conditioned segment is unregulated, which means there is a lot of fraud that exists in that space.
I don't really follow this particular news story because he was like saying that rich people are buying barrels of scotch and then selling it and being defrauded. I'm like, I don't know how that works.
Well, I think
you're not taking possession of a barrel of scotch.
No, you're buying from the barrel. Again, maybe some people probably do buy a whole entire barrel and then do whatever with it. But I think that what
they're buying the contents of what they believe is a barrel, and then they're trying to make money by selling it on a secondary market.
I think the issue is they're being told, oh, hey, you should buy into this barrel of scotch. It'll be $1,000 a bottle once we pull it off because of blah, 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 blah reasons. The very technical terms there, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But the people that are selling these so-called cask-conditioned scotches, they're just, I don't know, they're just pulling a bottle of scotch off the shelf and relabeling. I think.
But at least you're getting scotch. What about those people a year ago that were buying jarred farts from celebrities on Instagram?
Yeah.
At least you're getting scotch.
That's all the notes that I had for this 12-minute episode.
Let's move on then.
But it is an absolutely very good and very entertaining watch. So just because we glanced over it, don't not watch this episode. It is fantastic. Mike did take one sip. I'm not even going to do the math. I didn't even do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? He was pontificating the entire time.
He did.
So good on him.
He
still refilled that schooner. It's all that counts.
That's right.
Yep. All right, moving on to Cincy Brewcast.
Moving on.
Volume 10, Episode 15, the Great 2024 Oktoberfest Quest Finale.
Yeah, the finale.
I don't have a ton of notes on this just because, again, I don't...
You participated.
And it's weird.
Both of us, in a way.
Yes. You and my Josh were absolutely fantastic at getting the beers together, putting them in random order so that no one had any idea what any of them were except for the one that we all knew what it was. It was a hell of a lot of fun. If you missed out, shame on you for missing out. Because
speaking of missing out, I want to call out all the breweries in this thing. This is 32 different breweries. Where the fuck were you? Thank you to the representative from West Side for being there. Thank
you to Dave and Nina Volkman for showing up.
Absolutely.
And cheering on. And for the two gentlemen that were kind of in the back that I didn't catch who they were because I was trying to figure out how the hell to pick a winner out of these four beers.
I just want to say, everybody in that had a beer in this competition, you had something to gain from this. You wanted to gain something from this, and the finales were happening at a brewery. It's not like you had it at a hotel lobby or something like that.
Right.
You know what? I want everyone to do better, be better next year. I want all of you to show up. I want to have the breweries have this camaraderie, and I know that. This means something to all of you breweries out there, and the show of support. We need to get back to the. I know you support the Gnome and what he does.
Yes.
I know you support people that create content around what you create as a beer product, as a place, as an establishment. Let's get back to being a tight-knit community group, and let's support each other in these endeavors that really is meant to just
lift everybody up,
up, and to sound out and to celebrate what it is that Cincinnati craft beer is.
Absolutely.
So be there next year.
Yeah. All right.
Who won, Julia?
All right, 37-minute episode. The video is already out. Gnome was able to crush it with getting both the podcast version and the video version out there. So you have two different ways that you can take in this content. It started off by going over kind of the history of the Oktoberfest Quest for Gnome. I mean, I think this is like the 50th different time that we've heard this, but for some people, the finale might be the only episode they listen to find out what's going on. And it's always fun hearing that because I love remembering or thinking back and being nostalgic about when you and Gnome did the Oktoberfest Quest.
Yeah.
It was live on Facebook or something. And I think it was just audio. I don't remember seeing both of you.
Yeah.
But I remember commenting because it was okay, who has a guess on who they think the winner is? Mm-hmm. And I said, I think it's Listerman. Mm-hmm. And Listerman won.
Yep.
And Gnome said, cool, I win a fun 4-pack reusable carrier. And guess what I have yet to get? It'll probably be in my Gnome box, which will show up in 2.5 years.
He said last year he was going to get you that.
I know. No, I love you. You know I'm just messing with you. It's just fun to kind of poke at some of these things every now and then. The history of the live finales. It was at Fretboard, which was a fucking blast.
That was fun.
We need to bring that back.
That
the
was
whole
fun.
crew from Mad Tree that was there, everybody was there, and it was wonderful. From the podcasters to the breweries to just fans of beer. I don't know what was different about that event that made it so much more attentive.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to dwell on it too much.
I get that there's so many breweries or breweries with multiple locations. Mm-hmm. Everyone's trying to do their best to have, the best showing and the best product for today and tomorrow and make it to next week and next month and next year. It's every now and then there has to be a time where we hit the pause button and we, do something to support the craft beer community itself.
As a whole, yeah.
And I mean, if we can't take 1 or 2 days out of the year to try and make some of that happen, I think I just would encourage everyone to think about that.
Yeah. Let's see. We talked about what we look for in Oktoberfest beers. Is it the color? Is it the taste? Is it the aroma? Do we try to follow the style
dates on
guideline?
the can?
Yeah, dates on the can. Do we try to follow the style guidelines as per, the official, this is what a Märzen should be, this is what a Fest beer should be, which to me, no, I feel like they should fall very close to those categories, but there are so many amazing hybrids and blends and just things that do tiptoe between the two. To me, it's all about how does that beer make me feel when I'm drinking it. Am I drinking it going, oh my God, this is what I want to drink a whole bunch of, as it goes from being 90 degrees and miserable during the day to I need to throw on a sweater at night because the temperature's dropping, and it's just been absolutely amazing. We also talked about what we don't want, which is basically fruity and hazy Oktoberfest. I think everyone kind of agreed on that.
Yeah.
A little bit of a fruit characteristic, more in the Fest beer side, I think, can work, but there has to be such a good balance between the two. Let's see. We complained about how much of a pain in the ass it was to judge these beers because to me, beers. It's we picked a winner, but they were all winners. That was just, oh my God, it broke my heart every single time. I'm like, I have to give one of these 100 points and one of these 200 points and one of these 300 points. I thought about doing 50s, 250 and this and that, then I thought Gnome would kill me if I tried to do that. So, and then obviously it accumulated with who won.
Yeah.
Who win, who was the runner-up, and who came in, and it is not last place, but who was who
came in fourth
close.
Out of 32 is what it was.
Yeah, that's true.
There were 32 beers in this competition. Only one's going to finish in first place.
Right. But even then, it's one of those, did it get into 32nd place because just the mood Gnome was in when he had that beer? If he had that beer again 2 weeks later compared to a different beer, what would he think? I don't envy him for doing this. Every year I'm like, oh sure, I'll help out with this, and then every year I'm sitting there going, why?
Tough.
This is awful. And
it's tough.
And then when because I honestly thought that the winning beer was one of the beers that was third, and it broke my heart. I'm like, no.
That's what happens. It's the blind tasting.
It is
blind tasting.
insane.
And Dave and his wife even echoed the same.
Yeah.
The blind tasting just puts everything on a level playing field. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you know who made the beers and what the beers are.
Right.
But you taste blind, and then you you judge, and then one comes out, the one you prefer on that day at that time.
And even though Gnome and I both picked the same beer as the winner, which makes it feel like a clear winner, man, it was so close. It was down to the most minuscule little. I think there's just it's something I couldn't even put my finger on. There's just something about this beer that edges it out over these other ones.
I had it, and I was like, man, this is really good. And I thought to myself, is this beer going to win this year? Mm-hmm. And I thought, and I had other beers at that time. And I'm like, I don't know, stiff competition.
Yeah, and
then fast forward all the way to the end. Not only did it win, but competition was really stiff. Yeah. That's what happens.
So listen to the episode or watch the episode. Find out who won. Find out how much of a pain in the ass it was for us to try to pick these beers. How I asked, do I have to pick one? And Gnome pretty much said, yes. Yes, you have to do this. I'm not doing this all on my own. And find out where you can see the Golden Gnome Trophy.
I think Julie and I can go ahead and confirm, fast forward, that the trophy is at its final.
It is at
the location, and it is in prominent display.
Agreed. Yes, it absolutely is. The Great Oktoberfest Cuvée is still to come.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. I didn't have any other notes on this because, again, 37 minutes, and we were both involved, so it's hard for us to talk about things that we're both involved in. So let's go ahead, and I guess we'll flip over to the last show we're going to talk about.
TWP.
Yeah, you know me. And, well, I say that, but it's really Gnome.
Yeah.
Gnome and the rest of the community.
Well, he's a conduit,
together.
Julia.
He is a conduit, but he is who is bringing people together on a Monday night to just have a virtual happy hour and talk about some of the things that are happening in the craft beer world, Cincinnati and beyond.
Bringing people together. It could be on a Monday night. It could be the Jets, or it could be the Gnome. And I know which one I chose.
All right, this was episode 232 by my count, Gnome. I know that there are more that happened before this, but when we started numbering things, this is the soul. What about the soul?
Yeah.
There was a thread of children coming through the ceiling as he went live for this. He was drinking Wicked Hare's Hard Tea, which is part of Turtle's Brew. It is their new line.
I didn't know that until Gnome said it later.
Yeah, it was mentioned
wasn't paying attention.
A while back. Yeah, this was multiple weeks or even months back that this was coming out. Apparently they are brewing, or they're making the beverages at their own space now instead of contract. I guess it's still called brewing or blending or whatever you do, which is absolutely fantastic.
Wizardry,
yes. There is a new overhead camera angle.
Yeah.
Which still needs a little light work, but that is phenomenal. I love it. Gnome is still trying to do things week after week to make the show that's not a show better. And I think that the overhead camera angle is absolutely going to be part of this. He is kind of upset to admit that he is starting to love not only hard tea, but drinking out of coconuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although he did use a straw. He didn't try to just it from the which I think would have been.
That's the way you drink out of a coconut, right?
But how much fun would it have been for him to try to do that with your face and your nose going in? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Keeps bopping the top of your glasses.
Yeah. Chunk.
I would have laughed so hard. That would have been great. No, next time we need more comedy to your act. That's all I'm saying. He talked about Cincinnati winning 3 medals at Great American Beer Festival, which we already talked about. A Musi from Brink, the Chocolate Stout from Wandering Monsters, which, again, I didn't write down because I'm an asshole, and Black Cats from Streetside. Absolutely fantastic. Streetside brought home gold. The other 2 brought home bronzes. That was only out of 7 Ohio breweries that brought home hardware at all, so we already talked about this at the beginning of the show. Congratulations to all of them.
Yes, congratulations.
Jack's Abbey bought Night Shift Brewing, which, I don't think that impacts us a ton at all, but it was still an interesting story.
Go and watch, because the story about, what was it, Nightcap?
Yeah, Night Shift.
Night Shift. The story about Night Shift itself is weird. It had a bunch of twists and turns that I was like, really? Really?
Right.
Really? Okay.
Gnome decided that the Wild Hare needed something extra, and he was trying to figure out what liquor could make it better.
I knew he was going to pick rum, right?
That's what I thought, too. I'm like, it's got to be rum.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Although I think bourbon might have also been a very good choice. Or maybe just a better rum.
Would have been a good choice.
And then the main focus of the episode, are we losing places that actually have soul?
I think, and he wanted us to chime in. I didn't, because I think my response was a little too long, although you had a very
mine was very long. Yeah,
you had a nice response.
I'm pretty verbose when I want to be.
I think what's harder is for places to identify their own soul. And for those that over time end up having a soul, being able to relate that or understand and continue down the path of understanding that this is who you are now, this is who you need to be. Those can be, number one, you may be oblivious. And number two, if you figure that out, what's prompting any sort of change? I mean, ownership change, new owners are always going to end up wanting to do their own thing with it. And very seldom does an owner come in, buy something, and want to just leave it the way it is.
Right. See, I kind of, I don't want to say I disagree with that, but I look at it from sort of a different side of the coin, I guess. You can't open up multiple locations and expect those other locations to have the same soul that the original does. You can't transfer that soul. You can't copy that soul into somewhere else. To me, if you want to open up multiple locations, that's fine. That is absolutely fantastic. I think you should. I think that the more, different, fretboard spaces and, maybe West Side spaces eventually and, Saunders space and all that you have, that's fantastic. But you can't expect OG fretboard, when they open up a new tap room, to feel the same as OG fretboard. And I think that's kind of the example that I really wanted to call out. Fretboard now has 2 other spaces in Hamilton and in Harrison, Ohio. Great spaces, but you don't walk into them going, oh, this is fretboard. As you start looking around, you start seeing the pieces where you're like, oh, here's, the fret, kind of running up the staircase and this and that. But it still doesn't feel the same. It just feels like it's fretboard's name, it's fretboard's beer, but this isn't a fretboard space. That space, those newer spaces will develop their own soul over time as people come in and make their own memories there and the places get to be what they're going to be. But it's not instant. It takes time for a place to kind of get that soul feeling to it. And it's never going to be the exact same that your first location is. Mad Tree's like 2.0. While it still has some of that feeling of 1.0, it is totally different at the same time. And that's fine. They didn't go into 2.0 saying we still want this to feel like this tiny little taproom space to where the community barely fit into it. We want it to feel like a community space where people can sit and expand and enjoy, and they made that its own space. With the alcove by Mad Tree, but that space is completely different. It has its own soul. Mad Tree wanted to have their name on it, but not try to force what 2.0 was into that space. And I feel like Parks and Rec is going to be the exact same. You'll recognize the feel or the backbone of Mad Tree, but it will also feel like its own place, which is what it should. It shouldn't feel like it's trying to be the exact same as another one of their locations.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I get it. But where does this small, individualized, cozy model, when does an ownership group decide that they do want to be cookie cutter and make it like, let's just use a big chain, the wing chain. Let's just use Buffalo Wild Wings.
Sure.
If you're going to have 3, 4, 5 different spaces and you want them to all be cookie cutter in that sort of same way, and even those spaces,
that's fine.
And even those spaces, you have community, you have your regulars that will go to Harper's Point but won't go to Blue Ash.
Right.
And Blue Ash
they
don't want to go to Kenwood,
Right.
To me, it's the same model, it's the same wings, it's the same macro beer on tap.
Sure.
But you still get different feelings and spaces, and you still get different service. I mean, I'm not saying those places can't develop soul over time, as like you said, the regulars and all that move in. But you can't expect it to feel the same and have that same feel. I mean, again, you're always going to have like the community feel as it comes to like you said, the regulars. But
those regulars at that Blue Ash space, that's a different vibe than, I mean, shit, look at Higher Gravity. The vibe and the soul at Summit Park is completely different than the vibe and the soul at Northside.
Well, that's a explanation of how it should be.
Right, exactly. But I don't feel like they tried to transfer that. Like, we're going to make Summit Park feel exactly like Northside.
Right.
They changed the way the space looked. They're like, we're gonna do things a little bit differently up here because we want this to be Blue Ash's soul, not Northside soul.
Right.
I don't know. 2 more notes on this, and then we will wrap this up and start heading towards the downtowns.
Okay.
There are more videos coming. Gnome is working on a bunch of stuff, so be ready for his YouTube channel to explode sometime in the next 2 weeks to 6 years.
Yeah, I agree. I'm ready for it.
Absolutely.
And when they come out, I'll watch them.
And now that Cincy Beer Week is over, it is time to start planning year
2 of Cincy Beer Week.
And next year's Big Sis.
That's right.
And next year's Oktoberfest Quest.
That's right.
Gnome, good luck to you. And if we can help at all with any of that, you know how to get a hold of us.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, don't. Basically.
No. We'll see you in a little bit.
Sip count for this episode, which, oh my God, he drew out the sips.
That was fun.
That was amazing.
That was
the highlight of my night. He took a total of 18 sips from that damn coconut.
Alrighty then.
That is 36 ounces if you're playing our drinking game, which is 2.25 pints.
Excellent.
Excellent.
You can do that.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see in 37 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll try. And I keep kicking the table, so I keep making a whole lot of extra noise.
So do I.
That I'm not going to try to edit out because noise reduction and all that stuff in audio editing is not my strong suit.
Okay.
Deal with it. All right, if you like what we have done tonight, you know what to do. Like, review, subscribe, share, follow, do all that good stuff. The easiest way to keep an eye on what we're doing is go to our website, truthbeerpod.com. That's
Check
where you
the
get
website.
links to absolutely everything, from all of our episodes to our email address if you want to shoot us a message, to links to our social media pages, which we are terrible at keeping up to date on, but we do try every now and then. And most importantly, there is a link to our other podcast, Cincy Beer Events, where we let you know about the Cincy Beer events happening in and around the Cincinnati area. But more importantly than that, there's a newsletter for Cincy Beer Events.
Yep.
So everything we tell you about, you can get direct to your inbox, including all of the sign-up links and the Facebook event pages that we mention. It's all in one place, so that all you have to do is put in your email address, and then once a week, get an email. Scroll through the email. If you see an event that you go, ooh, that looks cool, look, here's the link that you just click on to go to the sign-up page, Facebook event page, Eventbrite, whatever it is. I tried to make it as simple as possible. Little disclaimer, it is best effort. Every now and then there are, typos and stuff that you get to laugh at.
That's fine.
Which is wonderful.
That's okay.
With that being said, Marco, is there anything else you want to mention before we run down to Kolsch night?
No, I better hurry up.
All right. Well, what are you going to be doing next week?
I think we're doing this here.
All right. Sounds good.
Cheers.
Cheers.